Hi, my dear friends. This is Vasilina Orlova with you again. And I want to talk to you about therapy and politics. In particular, I'm talking about, I would like to discuss the way therapists sometimes, I noticed, shut down the political conversations. For instance, recently I've been looking at various websites, of people who are offering therapy, and I was trying to connect with some of them in order to do my practicum and internship at my program, at the master's program in mental health counseling. And I encountered the following statement on one of those websites. Allow me to quote. The firm is a safe place to bring your authentic self. Therapists do not condone nor discuss our own political sensibilities. We understand that politics have caused distress and relationship ruptures for many people. As such, we are willing to bring the topic to the table as is feasible to help enhance your sense of self-being. Otherwise, it is irrelevant to our connection, and we remain a politics-free zone. This is the kind of sentiment that I also encountered in some of the groups, professional groups for mental health counselors on social media, where the discussion of the politics is banned. And I mean, I'm not here obviously to call out anybody on anything. I feel like this statement that I just quoted, it had the room of, certainly it allowed the room to discuss, to bring the topic to the table as is feasible, as they would have it to help enhance your sense of well-being. I'm also not here to teach the psychologists or counselors or LMHC, so whatever you would call them, how to conduct their business. That's their own thing. They do what they want, what they are feeling comfortable with. But I also couldn't help but feel upon reading this that to some people politics probably remains this sphere that they can choose whether go to or not. Like it doesn't really constitute a lot of the workings of the inner self that is done on a daily basis, which is totally understood. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be always highly politically engaged, but I also don't feel like politics is this such extra curriculum sphere. This is such an extraneous area which we can basically choose whether to participate or not, right? So to me, I just wanted to clarify it and sort of do a video about it. What brought me to mental health counseling, and I've been talking about it on social media, it's the war. It's the war. In particular, it's a reinvasion of Russia into Ukraine in February of 2022. And that was not the first invasion of Russia into Ukraine. The first invasion happened in 2014, and it remains, and it was, a highly contestable event in the Russian-speaking discourse. It's an event that obviously was just the beginning of the whole series of unfolding events. And it's something I've felt very strongly about, and it's something I talked about extensively in the ways that are accessible to me on social media, basically, in both in Russian and in English. And I think in my talking about these events, I've been sometimes very, maybe harsh to some people. Some people would perceive it as harsh. I had, a bunch of friends alienated, or former friends, and the relationship between me and my relatives cooled down significantly. as a result of the events and me talking and them being of a different opinion on what is going on. At the same time, I stand by what I said. I consider the Russian invasion of Ukraine to be a colonial adventure, a colonial war of land grab, an imperial aggression, the aggression that only uses Russian-speaking populations as the pretext to invade. I think that people who suffer from the Russian invasion in Ukraine, they suffer not because they're Russian-speaking or Ukraine, but they suffer because they are Ukrainians. So I think it's a genocidal war. I think that this war is unfair, that this war brings a lot of trauma, that it unleashed a tremendous scope of violence, that this war is a crime. I think that Russia needs to pay reparations, and that's the minimum of what Russia can do. I think that Russia must completely withdraw from all the occupied territory of Ukraine, including Crimea, including the areas that Russia occupied in 2014. And these are formally political statements that are absolute minority of people in the Russian current society support. I realize that in regard to this society, I'm absolutely in the total minority. And I feel very strongly about it. Meaning I feel like I'm right, I'm correct, and everybody else is incorrect. So I've been often similarly concrete and similarly not allowing sort of any vague definitions here and stuff about the matters of American politics. But I've always felt like America, the US in particular, was a foreign country. You know, I always felt that to me, it's a country that welcomed me. It's a country that provides me with a lot of attention and resources and love, you know, just as Russia provided me with love and just as Ukraine provided me with a lot of love. But I don't feel entirely comfortable in the matters of American politics. I still am very direct about my views. You know that I can support Trump in any way, and I'm very skeptical about Trump and Trumpists in particular. I'm in general not a Republican leaning person. You know, Republicans did not persuade me that I can support them, whereas Democrats did, you know. And I can say that upon my arrival in the United States more than 10 years ago, I probably was I could probably safely position myself somewhere on the Republican part of the spectrum of this society. But over time, as I learned more, I realized that I'm far more on the democratic spectrum of this society. So now I would like to say that when we are doing therapy, I think, now I have not yet got my license, so I can't really speak as a consummate professional, but I think that therapy is shutting down the politics out of their spheres and talking, like allowing it to a degree as long as it serves the clients, but not being open about their own political inclinations. These therapists, I feel like they sort of have a privilege of not talking about politics or not taking some stance on politics or on many questions of contemporary world, you know. And I'm not here to say that that's not the correct way of doing things, or I wish they didn't do that. But at the same time, I think that however we wanted to exclude politics from matters of therapy, from the matters of talking to people, it's going to be there, all right? For instance, if I consult a Ukrainian refugee who went, who had to, who was displaced by Russia attacking. I cannot remain out of the politics. And if I consult the Russian who took part in the assault of Ukraine, right? I similarly cannot remain outside of the politics. I cannot assume that their, wherever they found themselves in at some point of life, it's something to which politics has no relation, or it's something that just happened. I have to take a certain stance. I feel like if people, for instance, those who are doing anti-colonial therapy or whatever, like if they shun this kind of proclamations and this kind of being clear about where they're coming from and about their affinities, if they shunned it, they would not, let's say, be that much of help, for instance, right? So this is just me kind of throwing it out there, wanting to be clear of where I'm coming from, because I would much rather prefer to be clear about myself and to say, these services will only serve you for as long as you are willing to accept what comes with them, because I'm not going to compromise my political stances because I feel them very deeply, and I'm not about to pretend that politics doesn't influence our lives or the way we found ourselves in this or that situation. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that if I encounter a Trumpist or, a Russian imperialist in my practice or something like that, I will immediately give them some sort of diatribe. But I am going to pull them into some sort of field where they would have to examine their assumptions and their feelings. If I encounter, for instance, somebody who is, like feeling that they have the right, for instance, to invade the other country, right? Because this or that, because NATO expansion or what have you, I'm going to call them on that. I'm going to offer them the alternative to that. I'm going to question their assumptions, because this is not just a matter of therapy that can be chosen and that can be shut out of the conversation and that can be left outside of the parentheses. Well, yes, we have to bracket, I guess, as counselors, we have to bracket some of our, edges, let's say, right? Bracket them out. But the word being that thing that brought me into mental health counseling, for me to want to consult people with trauma and loss and grief that they experienced as a result of the war. And, maybe that would never happen for what I know, but that was the intention, right? For me to delve into PTSD and the mood disorders and things that can ensue and the psychotic episodes that can ensue as a result of persecution and as a result of war and this extreme trauma. For me, it's not going to be possible to proclaim my practice to be the politics-free zone. So I guess that's what I wanted to tell. That's what I wanted to say, being open to you about what I can and cannot offer. And if you disagree, of course, you are very welcome to disagree. I think that we need to discuss these things. We don't need to shut down the conversation. I feel like the humans are rational beings. They can be persuaded and they can also be questioned on their persuasions that are already there. And this questioning, it doesn't have to be in a disrespectful manner. It can just be a questioning that is going based on some evidence, right? And on some deeply felt truths. Because, for me, I had my grandfather and grandmother who are parents of my mom, who were born, lived their whole life, and died in Ukraine, in that one village that I used to mention, but now it's not entirely safe because I don't also want to attract some additional attention to the family that is still there. But for me, like, that's not the issue of politics, not the issue of abstraction. And I'm sure that a lot of people feel very similarly when it comes to such divisive, the way it's called, and controversial issues, right? In American politics as left versus right, abortion versus forced pregnancy, the rights of the people, trans rights, and the desire to kind of accept cisgender as the only norm and things like that. To too many people, these things are not something that they can take out, right, of their lives. And so it is for me. That's not something I can take out of my life and be neutral about it, be all sort of outside of this equation, be all tabula rasa of some sort on which nothing has been written before. That's just not gonna work like that. So I just wanted to put it out there, to be frank, to be open with you about that. And I'm hoping that you might respond to me in a comment or whatever. I would also remind you that you have to, if you want to book a session with me, you can use that link below. And you can watch my other video to decide whether or not I can help you in whatever it is that you are doing. I'm currently offering the sources of working on your writing project, on decluttering your space, on going over the breakup, and of going through the experiences in academia. So that's what I offer currently. If I am successful in completion of my program, I will be able to offer more already as a mental health counselor as opposed to a coach. But this is what I offer now. So take care, and remember, you are not alone. Like and subscribe, and shoot me a hi email or something like that, right? Okay, have a great day.